What up, everybody? One of the biggest complaints I've seen about the Power Book Force series finale is that both Jenard and Vic survived the series. But that shouldn't be that big a surprise, seeing that they were both considered main characters in the Force series, and the series only had 3 seasons. So at this point, after the deaths of Diamond, Walter Flynn, Claudia, Marshall, and JP, other than D-Mac, Vic and Jenard were really the only day one Chicago Force characters left. Also keeping in mind that snaky characters like Dre survived 5 seasons of Power, and Cooper Saxe survived almost 9 seasons. So Power has a history of keeping characters like this around to dirty up the storyline. And there's also the fact that Chris Lofton, who plays Jenard, is one of the two most talented actors on the show. And Shane Harper, who plays Vic, has a relationship with Gary Lennon in Stars prior to joining the Force cast, going back to his Hightown days as they transitioned him from Hightown to Force when Hightown was canceled. So that's kind of the backstory about why both Jenard and Vic survived the series and why I predicted that they both would. But now the question in regards to Jenard and Vic is what's next for these characters after they both ended the series, hitting rock bottom and blaming Tommy for all their misfortunes, ultimately deciding to team up together after they hated each other at the beginning of the Force series. But like OG Kanan, the narrator once said at the end of Raising Kanan Season 2, when Unique saved Rock, the game has a way of turning your friends into enemies and your enemies into friends. One of the realest quotes ever spoken in the Power universe, and something we've seen play out over and over again in the Power universe, and something we'll continue to see happen because, like the Raising Kanan theme song says, it's a part of the game. And even though Tommy had previously vowed to take out Jenard and end the Flynn bloodline by taking out both Ray and Vic, something interesting to keep in mind, as it might be a hint that Ray is pregnant with Vic's child, the next heir of the Flynn bloodline. But Tommy ultimately leaves them both alive to conclude the series, almost like he was content in winning the war and becoming the king of Chicago, with his sights now set on New York City. But leaving those loose ends in Chicago and not finishing them off completely before moving on could definitely be something that comes back to haunt Tommy moving forward in the Power Legacy series. I feel like at this point that Tommy has underestimated both Vic and Jenard and their desire to get revenge against him. Because in regards to Jenard, I think that Tommy kind of did the same thing that Meech did to Lamar in the BMF series, how he turned him into a basehead and left him alive, which ended up being a mistake, as after Lamar got clean, he started coming for Meech again. Except Tommy assumed that Jenard was still getting high, but after Diamond's death, Jenard decided to honor his last promise to him, and that was that he was going to quit doing drugs. And that by itself could be a problem because Jenard is going to be more focused next time we see him than we've really seen him since the beginning of the Force series. In regards to Vic, I don't think that Tommy probably even knows that Vic is back in Chicago. Keeping in mind, there was even a news report that said he was in the wind. So because of that, Tommy probably thinks Vic is gone. But as Vic and Jenard begin to plot to take down Tommy Egan, they will soon find out Tommy is no longer in Chicago and has returned back to New York. And this alone could be opportunity for Vic and Jenard to begin to make their move. Because as Tommy goes to New York to build something there, back in Chicago, his empire could begin to crumble piece by piece, with Jenard and Vic making moves behind the scenes. I think we'll likely also see them make their way to New York eventually to see what Tommy's building there as well. As Tommy told me, Rhea, something very important to keep in mind in episode 10. He told her Jenard isn't going to stop until he takes everything from him. And these words could definitely be foreshadowing what we're going to see happen in Power Legacy, as Tommy has now made the mistake of leaving Jenard and Vic alive. But before we see Jenard and Vic make a move to New York, I think they will try to undermine Tommy's Chicago operation first. I think Jenard and Vic will attack Tommy's Chicago operation, as they have insight about how things are ran and know the lay of the land in Chicago, while keeping tabs on Tommy and his operation in New York. Keep it in mind, it was revealed in Season 3 that Vic has contacts in New York who were willing to help him. And since this didn't come into play, this was obviously laying breadcrumbs for a potential Power Legacy storyline. So with Tommy out of the picture in Chicago, I think Jenard and Vic's first move will be to go after Peter and the Albanians who Tommy gave Vic's bars to. Because like I said, Vic is the one who could call in backup from New York and Milwaukee, and likely still has some of the Northern Irish crew left around as well. And Vic already hit one of those bars to give Peter a warning. Next time when him and Jenard come back, they will go for the head and eliminate Peter to take back control of the north side. And something else to keep in mind is that even though Jenard and Vic no longer have a powder connect, Jenard is still good with Madame Wu, his Fetty connect, and could tell Madame Wu that Tommy killed Diamond and Vic is his new business partner. Something I noticed at the end of Force when Shanti was talking to CBI is that they did a callback to the beginning of Season 2 talking about Chatham, which belonged to Jenard's crew Treason at that point. But at the end of episode 10, Shanti said that that's all now Coalition territory. So in addition to Vic taking back the bars that Tommy gave to the Albanians, after they do that, their next move could be to start taking back Jenard's old CBI/treason territory. Jenard could start terrorizing the low-level corner boys in his old territory before ultimately making it his plan to take out Smurf and Bones, as they were who turned on Jenard and brought CBI over to Tommy and his new coalition. And now Shanti is who CBI has to answer to, what Shanti wanted all along. So Shanti ended up getting what she was plotting for, except she did it without Jenard. So because of that, Jenard could also come for Shanti. In addition to trying to take back their old territory, since they already know how things work behind the scenes with the coalition, Jenard and Vic could also try to rob coalition product or even a shipment. Similar to Kanan and OG Power and how he had Miguel hit Ghost and Tommy's Money Man in the first episode of the show. Then after some time has passed, and as Vic and Jenard have their people in New York keeping tabs on Tommy, they will ultimately find out that Tommy now has a kid and could use Tommy's attachments like his kid Mireya and D-Mac to make their final move against Tommy. Keeping in mind, like Tommy said, their end goal is to take everything from him. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.